Hello today, welcome back to Deep Life Chats, the YouTube channel / podcast. Today we're in beautiful nature. I'm so excited and happy to be sitting on this tree right now. We've got mushrooms on the tree. It's a gorgeous day in the middle of March.
We got butterflies, we got squirrels, we got red-bellied woodpeckers.
Yeah.
We got everybody.
So we hope that you can hear us well enough because we forgot a component to our microphone, so...
Well, we're going to try it anyway, because we're going to speak loudly and we're going to make it work.
Yeah, but
so what are we talking about today?
Well, first I just want to say I hope that the noises of the forest can be a healing ambiance that can be channeled to you via this video.
Yes.
So today we're talking about mindsets, habits, and epiphanies that have changed our lives in a positive way. One of my favorite topics ever.
Yeah, and that have shaped our lives to what they are today, pretty much.
The first habit that really started everything, that really got the ball rolling for me as far as getting me out of my old life and way of being and my unconsciousness and being not authentic to myself towards where I am now, which is very authentic towards who I really am, my essence, and more awakened per se, but it would be gratitude. The practice of gratitude was the first thing that I ever did, the first habit that I introduced that started to change my life. And so when I started doing gratitude, it was just I had a journal and I would write 3 things I'm grateful for every day. A lot of them ended up being kind of the same thing. And some of the things I would write that I was grateful for were things that probably shouldn't be in my life, but at the time I thought like, oh, I should probably be grateful for this, or I thought I was grateful for it. And that just began to shift me towards just more of a positive orientation rather than being in the classic negative thinking, worrying about worst case scenarios all the time, complaining and always looking for the negative. That's
very true.
A huge positive benefit of having a daily cultivation of gratitude. It trains you to see the good in life, and what you focus on grows, and the more you see it, the more you find it, and there's things to be grateful for all around us.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the news that we watch and stuff kind of tends to only show the bad things, right? And if we're only seeing bad things, you know, that kind of programs our subconscious in maybe a negative way, that we're used to these bad things. But like she's saying, if we're grateful for the good things, then we know that each and every day is a positive step in our life. Positive day.
Yeah.
Nothing bad can come from being grateful for the things that we have. And
another important thing about gratitude is that if you don't show the universe or the energies or whatever, you don't even have to believe in that, but if you don't show that you appreciate what you already have, you can't really expect to manifest new things or better things if you're not grateful for what's already here.
That's a big point. I mean, just being grateful for what you have allows you to have more wealth and more things in the future. Wealth not meaning just financial wealth, but just
and it gets you into that I have state of being instead of the I don't have or I wish I had or I lack. And the next habit that I started doing that got me to really get the ball rolling on changing is I started a meditation practice, and I started meditating on a nearly daily basis in the summer of 2017, and I have not stopped since. We're currently in March 2022, and I've been meditating close to every day for that entire time, and it's been an amazing transformation. I find that when it comes to transforming and changing your life and awakening, it has more to do with doing one little bitty thing every day and having that build momentum or compounding over time. That makes a huge difference rather than trying to force ourselves to make these huge giant leaps.
Yep.
Or, to cram 12 hours of working on a project in one day. It's actually better and more enjoyable, and you're more likely to keep a habit if you just do a little baby bit of it every day.
Yeah, I think the concept that she's talking about is something that I definitely learned from the book Atomic Habits. Just starting 1 minute a day meditating. And I think once you get it down and you realize that the hardest part is just showing up for that habit, right? So if we can get 1 minute a day, that is a beautiful start. And then after that, you get to your guided meditation videos that may be 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes long. So I think starting with that 1 minute, like she said, is really the best way to change things. Because if we set an intention of, hey, I want to work out 30 minutes a day for 1 month, like that's a big goal to set. You may be able to reach that. A lot of people can do that, but I think to have the best chance of success is to start with 1 minute. Start with small things.
The hardest part of anything is just starting. So for me with drawing, the hardest part of drawing is, I gotta wipe the table down. I'm really nitpicky about making sure there's nothing dirty that can get on my art, and setting up and getting my reference photo ready, getting my pencils ready. So if you can just get in the habit of getting ready, getting set up, make just the part that's getting ready and getting set up, if you can just make that the habit, then the rest comes easily, because once you're already sitting, or once you're already on the stair thing at the gym, or once you're already walking out in nature, it's not hard to do it from there.
No, yeah, and I mean in the book they Atomic Habits, they give a great example of, like she was talking about, going to the gym. The first thing you do is just get dressed, get ready to go, but you don't go, and then you work from there. Then you go to the gym and you're only there for 1 minute, then you're there for 5 minutes, then you're like, wait, I'm here already, I've already initiated this habit, I might as well stay for a full hour. And that just goes back to the starting small, and the compounding of your good habits will compound themselves.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say, and this doesn't really apply to you so much because you've been on a daily guitar challenge for 2 years now.
Almost
2 years.
The 17th will be 2 years.
That's in 2 days. That's amazing. I've never done anything for 2 years straight ever. Not
Except
even
brushing your
for
teeth.
1 year straight.
Maybe things like that.
Hopefully. There's been days where, like if I'm camping, I forgot my toothpaste when I went camping, but
yeah, but I mean, to talk about the guitar challenge a little bit, that's a great one. I mean, I've really solidified that habit of playing guitar every day. I think, in my mind right now, I have this idea of 1,000 days. I'm close, 2 years, that's over 700 and something, 725 days, something like that.
That's not even that far.
No, and I think the number one thing that contributed to that good habit was putting my guitar in a place where I could see it, right?
Yes.
And it's like the same maybe with, meditation is kind of an inside thing. You can't maybe have something on your board that says meditate or something.
But you can have a place that you do it that looks nice and that
and
has
if you
the vibes.
Like if you want to do yoga, I mean, I'm sure maybe we were jumping the gun a little bit. I know yoga is probably one of those good habits that we've picked up, but leaving your mat outside in front of you, and your view is
if I didn't have cats that would scratch at them and stuff, I would leave my yoga mat out constantly.
True.
Because it's just that one extra hindrance that's out of the way for your brain. But I do also want to say that you're able to do this guitar challenge because you approach it with a growth mindset.
True.
Rather than, I forget whatever's the opposite of a growth mindset, but I don't remember. And you enjoy it, most importantly. You do it with an approach of, I'm doing this because I enjoy it. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're not trying to perform. You're not trying to just hit these certain goals. You're doing it because you enjoy it and you love it. And that's the most important thing out of anything, is to do it because you love it. And for me, I have a really hard time keeping up with challenges. And what I tend to do, because I have not so much of a growth mindset, but the opposite of it. I was doing a guitar challenge for almost a month recently. I missed a day and then I was like, shit, and then I didn't do it the next day, and then I didn't do it the next day. And so if you know that that's kind of how you are, maybe don't try to do these challenges, because you might have a tendency towards just getting discouraged and quitting. Yeah,
or just set it for maybe play once a week, or something like that even. But maybe even that's too much. You're right.
Yeah. So it's not about being perfect, and it is about being consistent, but it's not about being completely perfect. So if you miss a day, or if you, I don't know, you just really don't feel like doing something for a week or two, you can always come back to it again. And sometimes maybe you just need space away from that, or you just want to take a break from it, and that can be a good thing too, because creating space allows things to flourish as well.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna, lose all our teeth if we forget to brush our teeth one day, right?
Yeah.
None of that will happen. But I think, maybe we want to. I'm definitely gonna say one of my habits that I've really, really helped me is yoga. So to give you a little background, I struggle being 6'2" and having hips that are out of line. I struggle with lower back pain a lot, and sleeping can be an issue. Just sitting down, things like that. And the number one thing that has helped me consistently has been yoga. Stretching that back out every day, doing my ragdoll folds every morning pretty much. I try to do them every morning. I think that habit is definitely still improving, but I know yoga has really helped me, and it's also helped my breathing a lot, and just being in the moment, and just focusing on you for that 30 minutes or whatever you're doing, not the world, just your improvement. And I know that when I wake up that next morning, I feel the success because my back does not hurt as much as it does.
As a result of meditating every day, I stopped having the desire to ride horses and do this hobby that is abusive to animals. I stopped having the desire to continue to be with my abusive ex-boyfriend, and I stopped having the desire to go to college at Colorado State University for equine science, which was, again, it was a program that was abusive towards animals and that encouraged the riding and breeding of horses, which, visit my main channel for more information on why I'm now against that. And meditating allowed me to start to become open to finding the law of attraction, manifesting, creating your reality, healing, facing traumas, self-reflection in more of a deeper way, questioning what I'm spending my time on, where my life is going, getting to these deeper questions about life, like do I have some purpose, where do I want to be, and where do I want to be headed.
So it sounds like that meditation practice, that meditation habit has really just allowed you to really think about the other habits that really helped you, right? And kind of think about where your life was at that point and how you could improve it. So yeah,
well,
meditation
it created an interruption between it was a pattern interrupter. It interrupted the patterns of just go to work, go to school, do this, stay in this relationship, stay in this living situation, stay in this family, and it allowed an interruption and a pause to say, wait a minute, is this in alignment with me? And it allows, in my opinion, your higher self and your true essence to come through and to come out, and then you start feeling uncomfortable and you realize that things are not in alignment with those things, and then you start making these dramatic life changes, like moving states and cutting certain people out of your life that are just harming you and that are bringing you down, and cutting out lifestyles and habits. And it led to me moving and realizing that I just want to create art. I don't want to get some career just to have money and follow any cookie cutter molds. And it most importantly got me to stop living to please other people, and just to say, hey, look, here's a picture of me on Facebook of a college degree I earned, or hey, look, I'm doing this thing, this proves that I'm capable, and now I can get kudos and validation. And instead, it got me thinking more about, well, what do I really want to do? And then I figured out that all I really want to do is spend time doing art, and I just want to go to concerts and be into music and stuff. And then I think after I stopped worrying about being in college and following these paths that I thought and was conditioned that I was supposed to, that's when I became open toward veganism. And I started eating plant-based, and then I found Earthling Ed's TED Talk, Every Argument Against Veganism, and then that is its own awakening.
Yeah, you could almost say that meditation is almost not taught in school for a reason, almost, right? To kind of keep us in this mindset, in this rat race mindset
Capitalism.
of capitalism. If if you haven't checked out our other video on internalized capitalism, that's a great one. But yeah, I think it's pretty sad that we're not taught about this stuff, because nothing bad can come from just looking within and just reflection. Nothing bad can come from that.
Yeah, we stop just fulfilling these roles that we think we're supposed to fulfill, and we start, like I said, aligning with our true essence, which I'm coming to learn more and more every day is just beingness and love. And it's not trying to earn people's approval, it's not trying to impress people, it's not trying to get rich fast, it's none of those things.
And that kind of transitions into your next habit, right?
Yeah, so affirmations. So I know some people might think affirmations are corny, or they would rather do nothing in the world besides say, I am happy, but I just, from the minute knew that they were a thing, I loved them instantly. I'm obsessed with affirmations. I say them every morning. I've done this on and off in my life, and I notice when I do say my affirmations in the morning, I see my life shifting all around me and just steadily being better and better. And when I'm not...
a little friend. There we go. Sorry about that.
What? Did they die?
No, we're good. I put him
Oh
on my leg.
my god, that's a tiny bug.
Yeah, it's a tiny little fly.
Oh wow.
He was hanging out on your upper lip.
No reason to kill bugs unnecessarily, by the way. You can always relocate them out of your house or away from you.
But yeah, I mean, the affirmations, I mean, I'll be honest, I had that mindset of like what she was talking about, like where, oh, you think they're weird and stuff. I used to almost kind of like, when she would do them, I'd be like, oh, affirmations again, she's in the shower listening to them. But now I start doing them with her, and I think it helps.
Yeah, you're opening up to it. For me, I just feel so good when I'm saying them. It feels like so right and so good. When I say my affirmations, I just feel it in my energy. It boosts my mood. Most of the time, there are days when I'm off or when I'm having, certain energies coming up to work through that are more unpleasant. And, once in a while I have a day where if I'm really going through something challenging, I don't force myself to say the affirmations, because then that's like fake positivity and that's not authentic. And again, you don't have to do things every single day to be perfect, but I feel like, as someone who identifies as a witch and who kind of introduces spell casting into the whole law of attraction stuff, I see verbal out loud affirmations as a daily spell that I'm casting. You're projecting it out. Your subconscious mind is hearing you say it. It's hearing your own voice say it. The repetition of it every day is teaching your subconscious that, oh, well, this is repeating every day, it must be important. And, if you have an affirmation that says, I have an abundance of motivation to make music, and maybe you're not making music at all and you have like no motivation, but after saying that every day for a month, the not making musicness is going to start to feel more and more uncomfortable, because your subconscious is going to be like, wait a minute, but we love making music, or we're very motivated to make music, but like our action's not aligning with that. So now I'm feeling uncomfortable, and so now I need to make music, and then, oh, okay, now I feel good. Now we're like, now this is making sense and feeling in alignment.
One thing I just wanted to say, I think, not to, talk about negative too much, but I think it works in the opposite way too, right? Like if you're affirming negative things, and saying like, oh, like my life is stressful,
right.
like I'm so horrible, life is so hard, like that can be just, your subconscious will listen to that just as much as the positive things.
Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to even mention that part.
Yeah, I think that's one big thing that a lot of people struggle with in this life. And that is not to say that our life is probably a lot less stressful than other people. We're very privileged.
Sure. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you can't change your mindset.
Oh, yeah. The worst prison is the one of your mind, and succumbing to, the conditioning that convinces you to be your own, policing yourself and putting your own self down. That's the most effective way for you to not be liberated, is for your own mind to prevent it. Then whoever benefits from you not being liberated, they don't even have to do any work anymore at that point. It's very important to liberate yourself mentally and to also not be so in your head in general. But
do you have any suggestions on people that would want to do affirmations? Like any
there's a
people that
bunch.
you listen to? Or?
Yeah, there's a bunch of affirmations on YouTube. I enjoy Leor Alexandra's affirmations. I'll link some of her videos. I enjoy this YouTuber called Rainbow Harmony. She has just a couple affirmation videos. Once you do that for a while, you can write your own and you can make them specific. Like one of mine is, I have a successful art business. Obviously not everyone wants to have an art business, so you can really tailor them.
Yeah, the ones she watches I see are more general, right?
Yeah.
But she does want to, in the future, I know, make her own videos, right? And even put them out there for other people, but just for yourself. I think that's a great practice, is just recording yourself even.
Yes.
And then just
hearing your own voice and then repeating it. Or you don't always have to repeat it, just listening to it. Even when you're doing other things and you're not like really trying to listen to it, it will go into your subconscious, and you could even argue that that's better in some ways as far as the programming.
Yeah, like instead of having, you know, the horrible, like, bad things in the world news in the background, why not have affirmations in the background?
Yeah, because the television, the news, the radio, if you still listen to that, all of that stuff is programming you. That's why advertisements are the way that they are. They're literally designed to program you.
It's called TV programming for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Once you hear the same ad for a place, I think 11 times is like the magic amount of times, then you start to feel like, okay, maybe I want to buy that product. You know, it's kind of like repetition. There's a lot of power in it. And I also want to say another example of an affirmation working over time, even if it doesn't feel true when you're first saying it, you can still feel as if it's true while you're saying it. Just, you know, allow that to happen. And then if your affirmation is, for an example, for me, I'm always in the present moment. Well, I didn't feel like I was really being always in the present moment, but I introduced that affirmation into my daily list, and then I came across a book that helped me learn how to be in the present moment. So that's another way that affirmations work, is if you introduce an affirmation and it really doesn't seem true at all, you will be drawn to things that make it become true, if that makes sense.
It definitely does make sense, for sure. That's like the universe and your higher self kind of just getting your back, having your back, you know? Even if you don't necessarily, you know, maybe it directs you in the right aisle in Barnes & Noble to find that book.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but maybe.
Yeah.
I like to think it does.
I like to too. I mean, you don't have to believe in the universe or magic. I choose to, because it's fun and it makes me happy and it doesn't hurt anyone to choose to believe that.
Well, I think we did a good job of covering habits, and I think mindsets is kind of the overall, you know, they kind of include the habits and the epiphanies. So I think we're going to transition into epiphanies now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about one of the first ones that you had?
Yeah, so one of my major epiphanies, which I would just say is like kind of a moment in life where you realize something important that you then live a little bit differently afterwards, or your consciousness is a little bit expanded or upgraded afterwards, is this moment where I was working at this hair salon full-time as a receptionist. It wasn't a very enjoyable job. You know, I had angry people that I would answer the phone and they'd be pissed about their appointments, and the hairstylists were rude to us and the managers were rude, and it was like a bad environment of like gossiping, girl against girl sort of. And I thought at the time that I wanted to be an esthetician because I had dropped out of college for equine science, and I felt the immediate pressure, oh my god, now I'm not doing something. Now, you know, my ego and my identity can't say, oh, I go to school for blah blah blah, my passion is blah blah blah. I need to put something else there quickly so that when people ask me, I know I can answer them and give them an answer that satisfies them. So I was like, I don't know, I like makeup at the time and skincare, and so I chose an esthetician, and I actually started going to a program, like a school for it, and I thought I was going to be an esthetician. But then one day I was at work and I was in a break room, and there was this one hairstylist that worked at the place, and she was on her break and she was drawing on the table, and I just kind of was noticing her because I'm an artist too. And she had a timer go off on her phone telling her that their hair was done processing or it was time for the next appointment or whatever, and she had to go back out, and she did like a big ugh, like she didn't want to go back to work, she wasn't enjoying doing hair, reluctantly gets up and goes back to work. And then I stand up and I go over to the drawing that she left there, and it's like this really beautifully done pencil drawing of like a mountain and trees that she just did out of her head, and I was like, that's amazing, because I usually use reference photos, and that just spoke to me like, wait a minute, that's a glimpse of my future. That is my future if I stay on this path. I'm going to end up doing something I don't really like, and having customers that I also probably don't really like, and being kind of constricted to appointments and schedules, which is not how I want to be. And I won't be pursuing art or pursuing something that's really my real talents and something I really enjoy. And I was not working there much longer at all after that.
Yeah,
So.
I think, it's nobody wants to have that sigh of like, oh, I have to go do this.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be excited, like, oh, here's my next client. I can't wait to shape their hair. I can't wait to do all that stuff. Like, that's how we should be approaching it. If we're not, then maybe that's something that we really should think about and change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story, because that just shows that life throws these little epiphanies at you when you least expect it, and they have this huge monumental effect on your life.
And you have to be aware and paying attention so that it doesn't just go over your head, because at that point I had already started meditating for a couple, like 3 or so months, and I think that's why I got that message and that vision. And maybe I had a lot of messages and visions before, and they didn't come into my conscious awareness because I was, just in the hustle and bustle, and I better get good grades, and I better study and do my homework and please my parents and whatever.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a great example of life proving to you that you weren't doing what you wanted to do, right? So one of the epiphanies, I'm gonna call it an epiphany, but I think it was just more, I think it definitely was an epiphany because it wasn't in my control. But when I was a kid, even now, I've always struggled with being skinny, and I didn't have very good I don't know what, body image, I guess that's the right word. I always got called like chicken legs when I was little and things like that, and I constantly was getting bullied. Not as much on that, just in general. Nobody knows why people bully you, right? But in middle school, I had this one guy that was bullying on me so much. He lived in my neighborhood, actually, and eventually it just got so bad that I was like, Mom, like I gotta tell on him in school. And so that next day I did. He got called down to the office. I heard it on the loudspeaker, and then later that week he actually came and he apologized to me. And in that moment, I think something just really clicked that it's not my responsibility to hold on to this anymore, and it wasn't really my fault that I was getting bullied, right? And once I knew to let that go, I kind of just never let anything really get to me as much anymore. Just because that guy apologized, like, I forgave him very quickly. And I think forgiveness is a really big and important thing, because grudges only hurt the people that hold them, right? So when I had that mindset change and that epiphany, it really just brought me into this new like clarity of like, you don't need to let people affect you. You control your situations. You control how you react to these situations and how they affect you. And from that day on, I think I became a very forgiving person, and I just never internalized things as much as I really did.
Yeah, you really don't. You are able to let go of things, and in like the same instant that they happen, a lot of the times it's like amazing. It's like really taught me a lot. And I would just say that because you were not holding on to any resentment or hurt or even just poor me from that, and you were able to let it go, then life and the universe and whatever stopped throwing that pattern at you, because it's like you learned your lesson.
Yeah, the pattern changed after that, for
Exactly.
sure. Definitely.
Like for me in my life, I had various people just showing up in different bodies as different human beings, but with kind of like the same personality of verbally abusing me, putting me down, etc. And I kept running into that over and over until I faced, certain people from my past and upbringing, a few individuals that were similar to each other, and I was getting a repetition of this through other people. When I was going to college the second time around, it manifested through a professor I had, and then it manifested through a couple of friendships and even people that I was dating at the time. And then one day I just had enough. I was like, enough is enough. I'm done with this. And then I allowed everything to come to the surface as far as, okay, what have I been through? What was my upbringing? Was there abuse? Oh shit, there was emotional and verbal abuse. I allowed it to come out. It was shocking. It was horrible to realize, and I just allowed it to. I just felt all of it. The realization of, oh shit, I've been through abuse in my childhood and teenagehood itself was an epiphany, because it was the process of accepting, oh shit, this happened, was a lot. There was just a lot of, I just was crying all the time. It kind of impeded my ability to function and to keep going to college at the second college I went to, and I just wanted to shut down, and I think I did. And I dropped out of college for the second time, and then the pandemic pretty much happened a year later anyway, so I would not have wanted to pay thousands of dollars for online college when I can just use YouTube or Skillshare or something like that. So
very thankful that did not happen in my college days as well.
Oh my god. And then after that, I had one more friendship that wasn't good for me go away, and then after that, I have just simply literally not met people who were mean to me ever again in person. I've had some trolls online being an activist.
Plenty of those.
But other than that, and people that don't like our protests, but that's so not personal. That's so just about them not liking what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like you said, the personal aspect of it, once you realize that, these traumas are not personal. They're not your fault, right? It's your fault if you hold on to them and let them control your future. But once you realize that it's not your fault, it's liberating, right? I mean, like you said, that streak of bad people in your life just stopped. And that was the same thing with me. From that day on, I had people that said shit to me about, being skinny on my legs, or, wow, you look so skinny. It's like, well, it didn't affect me anymore, because I just had the mindset after that epiphany that I love my body. I love who I am, and I was great at what I was doing. I was really into soccer at the moment, and just because my legs were small, I could still kick further than most people on the field. I'm not trying to brag here, but it just showed that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
What these people were saying did not matter.
It's silly programming. The body dysmorphia programming for, in general, the male gender expression is you have to have big muscles and be thick and large or whatever. And if you're thin, that's supposedly bad.
Yeah, and showing emotions and things like that too, right? I mean, try not to say as much. That mindset, being a male, hiding your emotions and things like that, I don't think necessarily I was taught by I'm going to say my father really to hold those in, but it wasn't a very welcoming environment to talk about those things. And that did internalize a little bit. I think once I met Alicia, what she really, taught me about meditation and affirmations and things like that, it really just helped me realize that I should talk about these things, and showing your emotions is strength, and improving yourself is strength. There's a lot of strength in that. I've talked about it before, Inside Out. Watch that movie. It's
Yeah.
great. They talk about all the different emotions and how we have to be all of them. We can't just have joy. You just got to sit with your sadness sometimes too, and your anger, and like you said, remove yourself from it and just say, I'm experiencing these things.
Yeah, because otherwise you suppress it, and it comes out through a health problem or through, a subconscious thing under the surface that leads to you lashing out at people. And I do want to say that when you have triggers and trauma, it's never an excuse for you to say, oh, well, that's why I'm lashing out at people, or that's why I'm abusing people, or that's why I'm perpetuating these cycles because it was done to me, or that's why I'm taking it out on others, because there's never an excuse. Like, when you've had traumas and abuse happen to you, yeah, you have to accept, first step, I was a victim of this. You have to fully realize it and feel it. But then, to carry on that victim mentality means to say, oh, well, I'm doing this thing because this happened to me, or I'm this way because this happened to me. Then that's when you're in like a victim mentality where you are using it as an excuse, and that's not okay. Your responsibility is to heal from it. And I know it sucks that it's not fair. We all have different levels and varying things. Like, some people go through way worse shit than other people. And it might sound harsh, but it's still each individual's responsibility not to then take that out onto others. It's still their individual responsibility to heal from it, which kind of sucks. But I don't know what other truth there is about it.
No, I couldn't have said it better. I agree 100%.
But there's also a lot of awakening and beauty that comes out of the healing process. And when you're out on the other side, you are able to access, I would argue, a level of happiness that people who haven't gone through shit and come out on the other side maybe can't, because they don't have as great of an appreciation of it.
Yeah, like you said, maybe me going through the bullying aspect will help other people to realize that they're not the victim of the bullying. It's the bullier's problem, right? It's something that they're going through.
Yeah, it's never personal. It's always a happy person is never bullying someone.
Definitely not.
And it's because they feel terrible from within and they're just projecting it outwards. And usually when they're bullying people about some certain thing, it's because they feel insecure about that literal exact thing. And when you realize that, you can just have compassion and be like, wow, I send you healing, and I wish you the best.
But one thing that she made me think of is, these things that happen to you, yes, you're overcome of them, right? But in the future, you still have these things called triggers that may bring up these emotions, right?
Yeah.
And that self-learning, that realization that you did in your past self will help you in your future self to realize oh, this is a trigger right now.
Yes.
This is just happening. It's not real. It's just something that's happening in the universe. I don't have to internalize this.
Or just being that conscious observer, that witness. I am witnessing myself getting swept up into a trigger. I am witnessing myself feeling these horrible, terrible emotions. And even just simply doing that, which is not that hard to do, it is a game changer between, that prevents you from getting so swept to the point where you spiral and you stay up until 5 a.m. looking for negative things, or being obsessive, or being just way too in your mind. It makes a huge difference.
Having those negative thoughts can be overwhelming. I know that's something you struggle with a lot still, but I think once you realize and you sit there with it and you realize, okay, this is just, I'm a little sad right now, or I'm a little angry right now. Feel the emotion, but don't just say, oh, I have to be positive, the toxic positivity.
Helps to say, instead of I am sad, I'm experiencing sadness.
Yeah, remove yourself from that,
because
right?
That's not what you are. That's not who you are.
No, exactly.
I do want to say also something else that could come off as harsh, but I ask you to be open and see if it resonates. But when it comes to being bullied, being mistreated by a family member, being abused by a partner, a family member, a friend, there is a component of that where you are participating. It's not always just you are a victim of it, but there also is a level of participation that has to occur coming out of you in order for it to happen, because you can put your foot down, you can use the block button, you can say I don't accept this anymore, you can set up boundaries, you can get to that point where I got to where you're fed up and you can say I don't want this anymore, I'm done, I don't want people like this. One time when I was in my abusive relationship with my ex, my mom said something to me that actually was its own kind of little epiphany. Well, if you're still with him when he treats you like this, you must like it then. And then of course I'm like, of course I don't like it, what a ridiculous thing to say. And it didn't get me to like wake up and leave immediately or anything, but it did kind of bother me in the back of my mind, and it did kind of stick with me.
Planted a seed.
It's not like really a fair thing to say to someone, because I was in that because of my upbringing, because of what I was used to, and no, I didn't enjoy it, but it was like my normal, and I just didn't have access to a better level of consciousness. But I think it doesn't hurt to ask someone who's in an abusive relationship that question, because it's very thought-provoking.
Yeah, I think like I've watched some videos on this kind of stuff, and I think, you know, we have this tendency of people that are not in this situation to be like, oh, like, why would you like having pain to yourself, right?
Yeah.
But really that pain is just a lesser pain than what they have before.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really know unless you really put yourself in their shoes. You know, being in that pain of abuse could still be less pain to them than the idea and concept of being alone, for example.
Exactly. Yep. It's a good example.
But as many people, and as I have said, you have to hit rock bottom and you have to hit that lowest low, and then when you do, it's only up from there. And that's actually one of the most freeing things ever, is when your life gets to that rock bottom point where everything falls apart and nothing works anymore and you're just depressed. And yeah, it's like, it's almost a beautiful place to be. Just maybe in hindsight it's beautiful, it's not so beautiful when you're going through it, but
yeah, but all these things, I think a great thing in life that makes us feel good, and not in a pride ego way, is teaching other people through the experiences that we experience. Right now,
yeah.
Alicia can go and she can talk to other people, even make vlogs or, you know, these videos about herself, talking about her traumas, but that can help somebody. You know, me talking about the bullying can help other people.
Yeah.
And that feels great. That feels great to know that, okay, I went through this pain, but now somebody else doesn't have to go through that pain.
Yeah. And I just want to say just a little thing, that talking about something for the purpose of teaching and helping, it doesn't mean that you're stuck in the past, or that, oh, you're never gonna get over it, or that you're still not healed from it. You know, it's useful to be able to talk about things. I just want to talk about something important when it comes to toxic and abusive households or relationships is, you know, because of gaslighting, you might not know if you're in it, you might think you're the crazy one. The best way to tell if what's happening is normal and healthy and safe is to publicly talk about what's happening. If you publicly talk about, like, even on social media, I do it, some people think it's wrong, like, oh, keep your private matters private, whatever. I am all for exposing that screenshot of someone, you know, telling you blah blah blah, you should die, blah blah blah. I am all for exposing the truth when there is, you know, someone abusing or oppressing or even killing.
When there's a victim involved.
Exactly.
When there's somebody that's being hurt.
And when you do that, if you get insane, intense backlash or someone turning their backs on you and your family, then you know, okay, this isn't healthy, this isn't safe, because obviously they don't want the public to know about this, because if you were just saying, hey, I'm out with my family and they love me so much, they're not going to be like, oh my god, don't tell anyone that.
Exactly.
Abuse, oppression, all of that, it thrives on secrecy and you not talking about it. Like, what stays behind closed doors stays behind closed doors type of thing. So that's, you know, and that's why as activists we expose what happens in slaughterhouses. We show the footage and we show what is kept secret and what is kept hidden, because if the general public, if they all if it was happening in front of them, these slaughterhouses and these taking away the dairy baby cows from their mothers and killing the little baby cows, putting the little baby male chicks in the egg industry into a blender alive, if that was literally happening in front of people or at the grocery store when you're shopping, nobody would be buying that except for like a few outliers of really fucked up people.
Yeah, imagine in the grocery store, you know, right next to the dead bodies and the flesh, you had to push a button that was like, all right, you have to push this button to kill one animal, you know?
Yeah.
Like, people wouldn't want to push that button,
yeah.
right?
That reminds me of this movie where it was like, if you press this red button, you get $1 million, but someone somewhere dies. I don't know if you ever seen that movie.
No, I haven't.
But it was a really like deep thinking kind of movie.
It doesn't just have to be about animal abuse, but any abuse like that, like you said, it thrives on secrecy. It 100% does. And it's really our duty, the ones that have seen it and know that it's bad, to expose it, because then other people that may not know, may be ignorant, not willfully ignorant, but may not know about it, and they are, you know, in the terms of veganism, love animals and really are compassionate, they can see that what they're doing, their actions, don't necessarily agree with that.
Definitely not. And I also want to say, as a person who's very much into the law of attraction and positive psychology, and what you focus on grows and what you pay attention to you enhance and all that, you know, you might then look at, you know, showing slaughter footage or doing activism for human rights or animal rights as putting your focus on something bad, or, oh, the more you pay attention to that, the more you talk about it, the more you show it, doesn't that just mean you're creating and manifesting more of that? You know, it might seem like that, but actually no, because it just goes back to you're shining the light of consciousness on something dark, and then it transmutes into something positive, and then it heals. And you can't do that if you just act like it's not there, if you suppress it. It's just like our emotions. You can't heal traumas if you just pretend like they never happened, or just like, oh yeah, we don't talk about that. Oh.
I mean, that's kind of how we approach climate change, right? I
Yeah.
mean, people just don't want to admit that it happens, and it happens so slowly, you know, from one generation to the next. I think it's actually happening much faster now, much more exponential negative growth. I don't want, it's not a good growth, but those things thrive on secrecy too. But yeah, I mean, that's the oppression of the earth. I mean, that's our home. If there is no earth, there is no us, right?
These bad, terrible things that are happening in the world, they're happening either way. So you can either ignore it and have it bite you in the ass later, or you can shine the light of conscious awareness on it so that you can transmute it into solutions which are positive. That is directing positive attention on to the solution, rather than, you know, because you don't want to just watch slaughter footage all day or watch war footage all day and be like, oh my god. But if there's something you can actually do about it, then you can focus on that.
And having that, it was actually just in the book that I was reading, the Melanie Joy book, why we eat pigs, or why we love dogs, eat pigs, and wear cows. They said in there, it's like, well, you know, this abuse of all these animals and all this climate change and things may still be happening, but at least I'm not contributing to it. Mm-hmm. And that mindset is so freeing. Yeah. Knowing that, okay, yeah, we do cause harm with some certain things, but we have to survive. But when I know that I'm not willingly engaging in these acts, that's freeing.
Yeah, and I also would offer this, you know, there may be wars going on. Are you contributing to the mindsets of division and nationalism and these fucked up world leaders who don't actually care about us by picking one flag or the other flag, or one country over the other, when really you should be picking, I choose the people who are innocent all over the world, who are against unnecessary violence and harm, and who are against war, and who are not these fucked up weird ass people who are on power trips, you know, the ones that are in power bombing, you know, because if you say choose one certain country that everyone seems to be choosing right now, well, you're then not choosing the other country, and still a majority of the people there are normal ass people that just want to live their life and that just want to go to work and be left alone and not hurt anyone. You're going against all of them because you have picked one country over the other, and that's exactly what also allows that to thrive, because it shouldn't be one flag versus another flag, one nationality versus another. It should be us who are normal ass people who don't want this war and violence versus the fucked up very small minority who do, and there's way more of us than there is in them. So why are we giving our power up? That is just it's relevant right now. So
we always have the power. We
Yeah.
always have the power. It's like supply and demand with anything.
Yeah.
With cars that are bad for the environment, with animal products that are horrible for animals.
Mhm.
You have the power because you are the demand. The supply goes where the demand goes.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much good with this episode. Yeah, those are habits and epiphanies. I know there's a lot more, but we couldn't think of any more. And general mindsets that kind of weave throughout. You can tell kind of what our mindsets are.
Yeah, but please let us know in the comments, right? Like your epiphanies that you had in your life.
I'd
What kind of
love to hear
habits?
them.
What kind of habits do you guys do that changed your mindsets and made
Yeah.
your life better? We'd love to know because
Yeah.
we make this content because we love this content.
Yeah, we want to talk to people. We would love, we're still in the early stages here. We would love to have comments and the episode requests, topic requests. We won't shy away from anything.
No.
I can't think of anything that we would shy away from unless it's like, show us your butthole or something.
Yeah, but I think that really wraps this one up. I mean, this was the Deep Life Chats podcast. Again, I'm Keegan.
Alicia is me. I'm sorry. I'm caught thinking like, well, if we did show our asshole to the camera, would anything really terrible or bad actually happen? Like,
Well, YouTube wouldn't like
it's
that.
just the naked body. People are really like up in a tizzy about the naked fucking body.
Let's stay on topic here.
So, if you are not yet vegan, listen to the TEDx talk, Every Argument Against Veganism by Earthling Ed. Watch the documentary Dominion, free on YouTube, or at watchdominion.com. Also, there's Earthlings, free on YouTube.
But we're gonna link all that stuff in the
Yeah,
show
we
notes
always
below.
have everything that we refer to linked, timestamps now. And also, my main channel, Alicia Demi, is linked. That's where I do animal rights content. I make protests and a lot of good stuff on there. We do have a Patreon linked below. Right now it's just the Patreon for my main channel, but if you do want to show gratitude for this podcast, you can start by doing it there.
But you can also give us a thumbs up and a like.
Yeah, and a comment, and a
comment,
subscribe, and
thumbs
a
up, likes,
share.
the same thing.
Share, post it somewhere, or share it. Thanks for listening the whole way through. That means a lot. That's a good way to support us as well.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Peace.